What's good? What's good? What's good? You tune in Apartment 5B, hosted by your man Kill. I got my squad with me today, as always. Ladies first. Portia, what's going on, miss?
How's it going?
Everything is dope. Everything is dope. DJ Rec One, what's up, man? Rec, your mic ain't working.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Nah, Eagles for the victory this Sunday, man. That's what I'm talking about.
Yep. You already know that, man. You already know that. You already know. Vern, what's going on, good brother?
Man, glad to be here. Hope y'all having a good one, man.
Nah, no doubt. And we got my man, my brother, my man from Philadelphia, Trey Lee, sitting in with us tonight. What's going on, good brother?
Yo, all is well, and Rec hit it right on the head. You see what it is. You see what it is. You know what I mean?
And just for people who don't get it twisted, this is a Philadelphia Athletics hat. This is not the Oakland A's. Before they went to Oakland,
let them know.
So just to let y'all know, there's nothing but Philly love. Just one.
That's Atlanta, bro. You know.
I know, good brother. I know, good brother. But y'all ain't in the playoffs right now. No disrespect.
Oh no, hey, no, we suck. I ain't no Stan. I ain't no swallower.
It's all good. It's all good. But you know me, let's jump right into it. Yo, tonight we're talking about the importance of the executive producer. A while ago, we did a show and I kind of touched on it briefly, and just kind of to go into it, we're going to be giving looking at 3 examples of artists who had what I believe are dope executive producers and helped to make their career go further. And then we're going to be looking at some artists who we think could use an executive producer. So number one, what a lot of people may not know, executive producer to me, he kind of reflects, he's kind of like a coach. He's kind of like the person who's there, who's always looking at the bigger picture. I always kind of compared the Jordan and his trainer, Tim Grover. You know, with Jordan's greatness, you may think that he just got up and just went and did what he did, but nah, he needed a trainer. You know what I mean? He needed somebody to push him. Same thing with Steph. Incredible shooter, greatest shooter in NBA history, in my opinion, but he has a shooting coach. These people have people to push them to the next level of greatness. Now, not saying everybody music-wise, in my opinion, needs that, but I feel like, you know, it's something that can definitely be there. And I'll give a great example, and I've said this before. I had an MC, and this is back in the 90s, came through my crib. I played him a beat. He didn't like it. He left. Another MC came through, played him the same exact beat. He liked it. He recorded to it. Song is finished. Next day, first MC comes back, playing the song. He gets mad at me. Why you ain't play me that beat? And I'm like, bruh, I did play you that beat. And he was like, no, you didn't. And what that showed me is that he could not see the bigger picture of what could be done with this beat. Once he heard the complete song, then he was like, that's the beat I want, you know, but in the beginning, he couldn't see that. Trey, do me a favor and chime in. You're in this game. You work with some of the most heavy hitters in the game, the Hitman, Bad Boy, everything. What are some of your thoughts on the executive producer and what they do and what they used to do?
Well, the executive producer, okay, I think off air we had discussed, just for the viewers out there, there's a difference, a fundamental difference between a producer and an executive producer. A lot of times an executive producer could just be the financier of the situation. But then you have some executive producers that are not only financially contributing to the project, but they also see the bigger picture to the situation, like you just mentioned. A great example of that is Puff. So back in the day, people would get mad because Puff would put his name on a certain project and not really make the beat per se. But in actuality, he did, at the end of the day, help to produce the record because he added certain things to that record that made it sonically, what the end product would be. So back in the day, I think the executive producer was definitely more prominent. I think nowadays, because the way people make music, it's not well produced at all. You may have a hard driving beat. You may have certain things that are catchy within the song itself, but it's not well produced. It's basically microwaved, and that's a lot of the music that comes out right now is like microwave. And I think that's because there's a lack of somebody that's far removed, not really far removed from the situation, but not the main creative, but there isn't that somebody that could take that and say, okay, we can take this product and take it further and stretch it further and help it to reach further ground than what we have right now as is. So that's my take on the executive producer and making those distinctions between what an executive financial producer does and what the executive producer with that vision does, and a producer that's simply there to make beats, so to speak.
Right. And I think another thing for me, I always look at it like with a basketball analogy. You have so many MCs who are ill spitters. They can spit. You know what I mean? And I kind of equate that to Dykeman or Rucker Park. You know, you've got these ball players who they can ball, they can do all of this. And guess what? That's free. That's like a spitter to me freestyling on a corner in a cipher. You know, but once you go to the NBA and you're expected to win games, because now you want me to pay for your ticket. See, at Dykeman, I could go for free. I can spit for free. You know, now you want me to buy your product. You want me to buy your album. You want me to pay money to go see you at the Wells Fargo or the Verizon Center or wherever. You want me to pay for it now. You got to step your game up. Right. So you have a lot of spitters who are just ill, but without that bigger vision. I've had MCs come through my crib and it'd be a murderous beat on and they want to rap about a girl. You know, bro, like those two things, like this beat doesn't even mesh with what you're thinking about. Or I've had people come through and we're working on an album and they're just like, put it the track list and just put them the way we recorded them. And I'm like, nah, like there's a science to this. You can't just pick the first 8 songs and put them in a row. Like, I want some cohesiveness, you know? And I think a lot of MCs a lot of times may not be able to see that. And I forgot the boy's name. Breck, you may know because you watch Hoop a lot. I mean, he's on the jump. He used to be a GM with the Suns, but he was saying,
Khalid El Amin?
Khalid. No, not Khalid El Amin from UConn. He used to be a whatever. What he was saying was that a lot of people in NBA are getting away from this general manager and coach being the same person. Then he gave the analogy of, if you're my plumber, I don't want you to be my chef too. I want you to be able to focus on what you do and let this other person focus on what they do. And that GM coach thing is not working out. You know, it works out with Pop. It works out with, New England. But for the most part, it doesn't work out. It's like you do your job and spit. Let me do my job and look at the bigger picture. So, Trey, you already talked about one of them, Puff. Now, the thing that I think is so controversial about this is you got a lot of hip-hoppers who are like, fuck Puff, he ruined Big. You know, Big didn't want to do Juicy. Big didn't want to do these joints like that. But then you've got other people who are like, well, if he didn't do that, he would have been maybe the equivalent of just a Big L. He would have been the equivalent of just a big, somebody who was spitting over Primo all day, but he wouldn't have gotten to that level of success. Porsche, tell me, how do you feel about that? Like, where do you fall in place with Puff being the executive producer? Because I also want to run down what I mean by the big picture, too, is that I know when Puff was recording Life After Death, I think he flew everybody out to Jamaica or somebody just to keep everybody focused. Like, this is the goal. This is what we're doing. This is the type of music we're making. But, Porsche, what are your thoughts on Puff? Do you think it was for the good of hip hop or for the bad or for the good of Big's career or not?
I think, oh my God, like Puffy to me is one of those topics that I don't love Puff. I love Puff as a businessman. I don't love Puff in the music industry for a lot of different reasons that this isn't the episode for. But in terms of what he did for Big, I personally think Big's talent and his ability with flow, delivery, lyrics, just how good he was at the craft of rapping, I personally think that he would have gotten big anyways. Like, I think he would have been bigger than a Big L. I think maybe he wouldn't have been as commercial as Puff made him, but I don't think Big wanted that anyway. So I'm sort of, I don't know. Like, I'm sort of in the middle. Like, I don't like what Puff did for Big in terms of the commercial exposure and all of that, but I know what he was thinking. He was thinking money. He was thinking, like popularity. He was thinking getting his name out there fast. And he did that. But I don't know that, like, someone like Big, to me, he's my favorite artist of all time. I don't think he needed that. I think he would have been that anyways, but Puff did what he did, and he is who he is. So that's that.
All right, no doubt, no doubt. I'm one of the few people who, with this, I really don't. I think Puff is a dope executive producer. I think a lot of times, just like with the NBA, it comes down to what system you play in. You know what I mean? Austin Rivers with the Clippers, not really doing nothing. With the Wizards, they released him. I think he went to Phoenix, released him. Now he's balling in Houston. You know, so in the right system, you can do great things. I think the craziest thing about Big was he was an anomaly. He could do it all. You know, so the hard part is I felt like Puff then tried to maybe do that blueprint for other MCs and it didn't work.
Well, this is the thing, Kill. Sorry to interrupt. Is like Big was an anomaly. Was Big an anomaly, or was he just that good with or without Puff?
That's what he's saying. He's an anomaly.
That's what an anomaly is. Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. So is Puff really needed as an executive producer for someone as good as Big? Probably not.
I beg to differ. Go ahead. You go ahead. You go ahead.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
So I'm gonna take back to Motown. Everybody's heard of the Temptations. It's undeniable that they're classic legends, but it took them years to get a hit because the Motown system had quality control. They might have thought they had something jamming, but Motown had a system that was successful, and they had to pass through that until they found their niche. That's part A. Part B, Thriller. The last song, Human Nature, was the last song picked for the whole record. Michael Jackson wanted a song called Carousel to be it. Human Nature is darn near a perfect song, but it took a Quincy Jones to. Mike is a bad boy. We all know that. Just like Big is a bad boy, but you needed something. I mean, because sometimes musical cats only music, and they miss the market part of it because it is a music business, you know, and sometimes they miss that. And I think as dope as Biggie was, like Big L, I mean, he's a spitter, but I couldn't name 5 of his songs. That's just me. But Big, I mean, we wouldn't know the raw Big if it weren't. A lot of people wouldn't know the raw Big if it weren't for the Juicies, you know, and the Big Papas. So I think in that aspect, Puffy was needed.
Big didn't want to do Juicy.
Right.
He didn't want to do him, and that's to me, and I can relate personally to that. Like when you come into the game and you surrounded by your boys, you surrounded by the block only want to hear, you know what I'm saying, what the block want to hear. Mm-hmm. Now I'm not saying it's not dope, it's bananas. However, in order for you to get to that level where people can where you can maximize your talent, like in my particular case, none of my boys, none of my people like the theme. None of them. But that's indicative. It's the same thing with Big. Like they didn't want him to do that Juicy record, but he had to do that Juicy record. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And everybody knows that. But the beauty of it is that Big is so talented that he still made it him. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? So even though sonically it had that intimate groove and but the storyboard was telling on that record is still hood. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So it took Puff. It took Puff's vision. It took him to actually relay that to him. Like, look, man, you know, and they captured it in a movie, which was bull. I didn't like that movie, but I saw the essence of what it was. You know what I'm saying? And plus, I had heard the stories before. In order for you to get to the people, you got to do this record, and that's what happened.
And I think too, for me, it's like the thing that I think again by Big being an anomaly in the way Puff did it was like, we're gonna give you Juicy, but then we're gonna give you Unbelievable.
Absolutely.
Right. Or we're gonna give you Big Papa and we're gonna give you Warner. So
absolutely. So
the second the streets be like, yo, what the, like before you can even finish the sentence,
right?
Who shot you? And you forget.
Right. It balances it out.
Right. It balances it out. So I'm Porsche, I agree with you. I just don't think Big wouldn't be, and of course I know, like you said, with the numbers, but I don't know if you do 5 million without that. Now keep it in mind, Big may not have wanted to do 5. I don't know, but this is where one of those things where Puff as an executive producer, I'm with, you know, I had no beef with it. Now here's the other thing, because Trey, you brought up a good point. We always talk about Juicy, but the funny thing is, and I wish Grap was here, according to Pete Rock, he had made the beat using Juicy, using them Tume. Puff came over the crib and heard it, and then he went back and had given him Juicy. So I'm just wondering if it would have said produced by Pete Rock, will we look at Juicy different then?
Slightly, but Juicy is such a hot groove. That's the reason why Puff jacked it. You know what I'm saying? Puff is famous for that. Yeah. I got a million stories about him jacking people. Like he jacked my record. I did a record called "Keep Your Hands High." See, y'all wanted some jewels? I'm gonna give you some jewels. Not keep your hands high. I had a record called "I Walk Away from the Bullshit." It's a Curtis Mayfield sample. Don't. Oh yeah. You know that record. Yeah. All I really want is to be. Man, I had that record done. I've been shopping that record for about a year. Next thing I know, my man calls me up. Was like, "Yo, Trey, he's in Bad Boy. Do you hear what I hear in the background? He's in there." He calls me and like, "Yo, from in there." Mary's in the booth laying that record. It was cut. The sample was cut and sliced exactly how we did it. You know what I'm saying? So it was an exact replica of a record that I already done. So basically, to answer your question, if Pete Rock would have put his name on it, the groove is so hot, it wouldn't even matter. You know what I'm saying?
I'm just looking at it from that standpoint that a lot of people look at that as like the sellout song. Like when we talk about the commercial part of it, we talk about the Juicy. But I'm just like, it's ironic that Pete is like, yo, I had used that same groove. So I'm just wondering, because this is one of my things, and we'll talk about this with Nas, and It Was Written. I feel like whenever the Trackmaster's name gets put on something, hip hop just denies it from the door. Like it's just whack because the Trackmaster's.
Now you're right. You're right.
Like I said, if Pete Rock was in the video and it said produced by Pete Rock and maybe it had harder drums, I don't know. I just thought of that when you were talking about Juicy.
It might have had some type of influence, But I just think with certain records and with certain jacks, man, it's just undeniable. You know what I'm saying? Right.
What do you think about Puff with Big, Rec?
I think it was needed in the beginning, but I think if Big wouldn't have died or been murdered, I think he would have or was going to outgrow needing.
He was leaving, son. He was leaving. He was out of there. Yeah. He was out of there.
And I think like it's like you guys said earlier in the beginning. Yeah, you need those records. You need to do that. But at a certain point, nah. Him being the anomaly, it was not going to be needed on album number 3. It just wasn't. It just wasn't.
Now, Trey, you about to drop a jewel. So Big was leaving?
Oh, yeah, he was out of there. Conversation I had with him in the booth when we did Keep Your Hands High. Listen, here's the thing. Big was a super smart dude. Like, his whole situation, his whole thing was, I'm going to sign this agreement in the beginning. I'm going to fulfill my obligation just because I'm trying to get myself and my daughter and my family out of our situation to be able to expand and do the things that we need to do. So if I got to bite the bullet right now, that's fine. Once his contract was fulfilled, he was gone. Him and Un was already plotting on some things. You know what I'm saying? They'd already created a situation over at Atlantic, and I'm sure, Puff got a piece of that. But once he fulfilled his obligation with Bad Boy, he was gone. That's how it was explained to me.
I was going to say that because I've read every book, watched every documentary, every interview that Big ever did, Valletta ever did, anyone ever wrote. And it's very known that Big really was really about the money and the situation. So whatever could get him that was what he was going to do. And that was something that I think was across the board. Everyone knew. So it didn't matter what Juicy was coming out or what other commercial thing. Everyone knew that was Big's goal because he had a monetary goal to reach for himself. Do I think Puff was necessary for that? Sure, because I don't think Big would have wanted to be that on his own. But at the same time, I think any other producer would have been able to do it as well with Big. I don't think Puff is the key to all of this. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't think everyone puts so much weight on Puff being so important. And I'm like, I think Puff was just at the right place at the right time. Like, stop giving this dude all this credit, man.
I'm with you.
I'm with you too. Like I'm with you too. I don't want to. Trust me, I don't want to give him the credit. I really don't.
So let me all the stuff he's done in a business corporate world, but when it comes to Big and music, like God, I'm just so over everyone just being like Puff was the best thing that ever happened.
No. Let's be clear. Let's be clear. Let's be clear. Puff needed Big. Yeah. Let's be clear.
Yes,
of course.
And we see what it is without Big.
Yes, thank you.
So let's be very clear about that.
This panel I'm not worried about. I'm mostly worried about what's going to end up on Kills TL in a day or two.
Well, take it out. Let us all in unison say Puff needed Big.
Puff needed Big. Yes.
That's a given. We know that.
And I think the thing is too, and again, just like you said, Trey, as much again, Puff being that exec, again, there's so many dope MCs. Like we did a show about MCs who we thought was gonna blow, who we thought was gonna be big, and for some reason they just didn't. You know, and again, by Big being an anomaly, Big could have easily fallen in that category. We could easily be talking about Big as this great MC that we saw, because we had a rack of them, man. We
agreed.
A rack of MCs who we thought were gonna be the shit. I mean,
agreed.
Bird, sorry,
man, do your thing, man. Do your thing, man.
It's gonna be the stuff, and they didn't. You know, and again, just because of that, I mean, I think Big was one of the few who could balance the two. Most other people couldn't balance the two. You know, so at a certain point, even Ghost used to have to do it. I used to stop taking Ghost singles serious because it was like, he's got to do the song with Carl Thomas. I don't care about that because then the rest of the album is gonna be good. So. Right. You just got to a point in the industry where it's like I don't even care about the single because of this and that. So I don't want to give Puff, but I don't want people to think the Exec is only there to make you sell records, because now we can look at RZA and the Wu-Tang. I mean, who I believe RZA was playing the coach. I don't know any of this. This is just my belief. He's the one directing everybody, because Wu-Tang, I feel like without a RZA, Wu-Tang would have been 9 dudes rhyming on every song. And it got tiresome, similar to Slaughterhouse. I felt like that's what was wrong with Slaughterhouse. They didn't have an executive producer. You had Joel Ortiz, Royce, Crooked, and Joe Buttons, all spitters. You look at the average Slaughterhouse song is like 7 minutes. You know what I mean? And it's just like, yo, man, no, this is
bar. Yeah.
Right. This is the song that Royce Joel does the hook. You know, and this is the song that just needs to be a Joe joint. So I feel like with RZA, you know, that was one of the things. I think RZA also was one of the people who said, yo, we're flying to LA to record Wu-Tang Forever. Because he started seeing, okay, in New York, somebody gets a page, boom, now somebody out the studio. You know, you look around, you like, yo, where it goes? So he left. Like, and RZA was like, nah, pack up your stuff. We got to stay focused. To me, and then to me, I say this. Look at all the Wu projects where RZA wasn't involved. Like, to me, that's the factor. When we look at Genius's second album, when we look at Ray's second album, when we look at so many of these MCs, probably for the outside, you know, except Ghostface, when we're looking at everybody's second album, it's missing something. So just want to talk about RZA. So I don't want to give anybody the idea that the executive producer is just here to sell you out and make you rhyme over stuff you don't want to rhyme over. This is more the coaching part. Rec, what do you think about RZA? What else do you think he brought to the table to make Wu what they are?
He was the focus, man. Without him, we wouldn't have no Wu-Tang Clan in the first place. And I think him taking them to LA, I think that should have been a thing that they would have done just period. They need to do that because, like you said, somebody gets a page, they're gone, and it's 9 of them, and they all wild cards.
Wow.
You don't know what's gonna happen from minute to minute at that time with any one of them. So he was key, but I mean, with that many personalities and that much going on, it's hard to keep all those people in line. You got money issues. It's tough, man. I wish he would have been able to keep them in line, but I don't think it would have worked in the long run. And we see what happened. Like, we didn't get quality Wu-Tang projects since, in my opinion. You know, I mean, he is needed. It's like we talked about this before on the podcast. If the RZA has nothing to do with it, I kind of don't. I'm good. I'm good. Trey, it's the truth. Come on now. It's the truth.
Real talk. I mean, basically, he created that brand. Like that brand is a staple. It's something. You know, that W is like the most ingenious logo in hip hop. Like, you know, and what falls under that brand is starting with the RZA. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And everything falls in order after that. You know what I mean? So, you know.
And when you talk about the W, you talk about how he would flip it and make it an M for meth, or how he would flip it and make it a G. You know what I mean? So that's all RZA. Like I said, I mean, RZA, and like you said, it's Brandon. But again, when we look at when people say, well, we don't feel like waiting for the RZA. You know, we don't feel like waiting in line. We're going to go do our old thing. We see what Immobility did. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't work. Jizzes Beneath the Planet or whatever that was called on it. Like that. Beneath the Surface. Beneath the Surface. That wasn't it. Vern, what do you think about the RZA and Wu?
I definitely think that he's needed. That you need the architect, because each spitter in the Wu played a role, but without him, they won't get to their destination. I mean, as you said, they were all wild cards, wild cats, and without his vision, they wouldn't. You wouldn't know. I don't think you would see Method Man in movies and things of that nature, because he saw the overall. Even the way that they structured their deals so that all of them could have solo deals.
That was genius. That was genius right there.
That's RZA, and without him, you don't get that. I don't think.
I think Meth probably out of all of them, and Ghost, I'll say Ghost too. They were able to maximize and spin off better than those. But even with Meth had to go join up with Red. You know what I'm saying? Because anything that Meth did solo, in my opinion, his features was bananas. I thought he was the next guy. And when you talk about being in certain systems, I would venture to think that Meth may have benefited being maybe have done a record executive produced by Puff one time. I would like to see something like that, just because he brought something to the table that was commercially viable. So let's get with somebody that will push the envelope a little bit. Let you do your street and give you your street edge, but then also give you all I need. You know what I'm saying? I would have liked to see a match like that. You know what I mean?
And the funny thing you say that is that the joint with him and Mary that I like is the Puff remix.
Right.
It's not
it's not the original. Right.
Yeah, I don't like the hard version. I don't.
Right.
Yep.
Y'all like the soft version.
And the reason why I just said that, because I know somebody at home was probably like Puff and Meth, but it's like it's happened. And look at the grant, like that's the version I want to hear. I don't want to hear it.
It's ironic that he's the only guest on Big's first album.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like I would have liked to see that matchup right there. You know what I'm saying? For one album, one project. Let's see what it sounds like.
I agree.
What you think, Porsche, about the RZA and the Wu?
I mean, Wu-Tang's my favorite group of all time. So I love them all. And I think I've read The Tao 1,000 times. And I think it's also a known thing that the RZA had all of this sort of mapped out and blueprinted out, and sort of like everyone said, like he had a vision, but he had literally come up with an exact blueprint of how he wanted everything to roll out. So that's where the incorporation of the martial arts and the 36 chambers and all of these things. So for me, I think that the RZA was, like you guys said it, I mean, he's key. There would have been no Wu-Tang without the RZA. And I think it would have been a disservice if the RZA wasn't involved in that, because we got a very, very dope projects coming out of Staten Island and all that from him. So
right,
I love him. I love the RZA for that. I love the Wu, everything. Yeah, no complaints here.
Bong. There you go, Porsche. You gotta say bong. Bong bong.
The wild part, just because we was talking about Big, these two joints my baby girl got me for Christmas. These two.
Oh, you found them?
Yeah, she copped it for me. So
all right.
As Big as my man right there, the best MC who ever did it, in my opinion. But what's up, Vern?
Another example is think of Outkast, Crumbling Herb. Rico was talking about that song, and they just was talking about weed. And he was like, "Nah, man, y'all got to go back and give me something more." You know, you know, so that's when it only so much time in this crazy world. They're just talking about people dying early, and things are going on in the world. So And I think that the lack of an executive producer spills off into all areas of life, man. People have lost the art of deferring to somebody who has more wisdom or more knowledge. Everybody thinks that they're their own man and they don't need to sit down. And I'm gonna take it for business. I had a situation I was working on, little small real estate shop, like 15, 20 agents, and I was gonna kick in some a month. I went to my CEO. He was like, yeah, that's cool, but why don't you wait? I got something in the works. I'm like, okay, if you tell me to wait, I'm gonna wait. Come to find out 2 or 3 weeks later, we got a situation where I'm over a shop with 1,800 agents. But if I know it all now, Vernon, I'm gonna do this my way. You know what I'm saying? So I took a knee to my executive producer. And I think in areas of life, Kill, you do a lot of counseling. You know, people try to make marriages work on their own. You need an executive producer, bro.
Right. Yo, and that's a dope point, man, because I had the other day I'd cut my old head and he always be thanking me for the cuts. And I'm like, nah, I'm thanking you for the knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
I tweeted out like, yo, if you don't got an OG in your life, somebody pouring into you, you need to pray for one. I didn't say just go find anybody. You got to pray for the right one. But you're 100% right, man. And we're just living in a time where we don't want to defer to anybody else. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, Outkast being young, Rico saying, nah, that ain't enough. Go back and give me something else. You know what I'm saying? And then them having the respect for him being to listen and go back. Another thing, a lot of people don't know Rich Nichols. He was the manager of the Roots. He was like the executive producer of a lot of their albums. He passed away maybe last year, 2 years ago. Yeah. And one of the things I remember reading about Rich is he was saying when he was having a hard time getting the group together in one place because they were always out doing different things, that this dude actually built a stripper pole in the studio and had strippers come in because this was the best way for him to get the group together. You know what I mean? So again, the exec is looking at it like, how do I get all these mofos in the same room at the same time and make them happy? That's like one of those things. Another thing, like with Puff and RZA flying them out. I don't know if people know, with My Dark Twisted Fantasy, Kanye flew everybody out to, I want to say, one of the islands, and he had them on a schedule. It was like, yo, this time we eat breakfast, this time we hoop, this is your time, and then from like 6 to 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. we in the studio. We had to stop.
And that's why that album is so ridiculous, in my opinion.
Right.
Now that you said that, I you know what I mean? But I know the outcome was bananas.
Right. I mean, he had the signs up in the studio, like no tweeting, no being on your phone. Like, ain't nobody gonna be sitting back on their phone. Like, yo, we in here, we working. But again, at that point in time, Kanye's one of the biggest stars in the world, so everybody's falling in place. Keep in mind, RZA was there, Q-Tip was there, Pusha T was there. We ain't talking about like no name people like me. We talking about heavy hitters were following Kanye's schedule. You know, so just something else. Let's go into Nas. We're looking at Illmatic. Now, I know technically it says Search was the executive producer. Me personally, I always looked at it like Large Pro was the executive producer because it was Pro who was taking them up to Mount Vernon. Like, yo, I want you to link up with Pete Rock. Pro was the one connecting with Premier. He was the one. And I always said Pro saw the bigger picture because he could have brodied that project. And what I mean by that is he could have said, nah, I'm like, yo, this is the next one. I mean, that's what he did with Akinelli was a whole large Professor produced album.
Dope project too.
Right. A dope project, very slept on. But I just felt like with Nas, he was like, yo, let me connect you with these other people. And the other thing that made it a whole lot easier to make Illmatic was the competition between those producers. You know what I mean? Like, I remember I used to have the OG Represent, which was some old jazz bass line. That when Primo said when he heard The World Is Yours, he was like, nope, scratch that. I'm going back to the lab. You know what I mean? To get that product. And then for the second album, it was written with Steve Stout. You know what I mean? Like, and Trey, I don't know if you ever heard the story from my opinion, but I say this all the time. I had gotten a promo copy of it, and I'm in the basement of my mom's crib in Philly trying to think who did the tracks. I'm thinking RZA, Large Pro. You know, I'm thinking RZA did Shootouts. I'm like, oh, this sounds just like after that. And then when I got the copy, and it's like produced by the Trackmasters. Right. I had so much more respect for them. And I really believe that so many people don't like it was written strictly off of saying it produced by the Trackmasters. Because I feel like if Watch Them Niggas with Foxy was produced by Large Pro, people love it. You know what I mean?
Conversely, I know people that say it was written is better than Illmatic.
Right.
I'm one of them.
See?
That's right.
Oh yeah, the timeline definitely jumped when that goes down.
Yeah.
The thing is,
We've
is
already been there, done that one, Rec.
with both those albums, there's an executive producer there. You know, so if you feel it was written was doper, cool. You know, executive producer was there. You feel like it's Illmatic, cool. Executive producer there. How do y'all feel about Nas now going off on his own tangents? Because I feel like what may have also happened with the executive producer, you look at your sheet, you're like, yo, why did Serge get $100,000? Oh, he picked the beats. I can pick beats. What's wrong with you? Like, get this dude out of here. Like, you know, let me pick my own beats, because I don't know why they just disappeared. Like, there was a time when Prince Paul was daylighting. I mean, you can look at almost every group for the most part and look at that, how this executive producer was there, and then you just snap your fingers, and now the artist is the executive producer.
Yeah, I got them on my list to talk about.
Yeah.
But so what do you think about Nas, Trey? Like, you know.
Oh man, okay, so he's one of the guys, because I know in your request you were going to ask for your top 5 people that need executive producers. He's definitely one of them right now.
Yes, sir.
He's a bit of an enigma for me, man. He's dope, without question, one of the best writers of our time. But he is probably, out of everyone, and there's another one that's going to shock people when I tell them, and I'll wait till later, that he's so dope that he needs an executive producer. You know what I'm saying? Like, because of the fact that you want to maximize your dopeness. You need somebody to tell you, you know, the direction. It's almost like if you're a ball player on the court, right? We know you're athletic. We know you got all the moves, but you have to pick and choose your spots in order to use these certain moves. You don't just use the move just because you can. You wait in certain moments of the game, or you wait until you're in a certain spot on the court, you know what I'm saying, to be able to do that. And so that's the thing that I have a problem with Nas with. He needs somebody that's a coach of sorts to say, okay, cool, Nas, I know you got the talent to do this, but let's take this type of beat and let's talk about this, that, and the third. You know what I'm saying? Or let's pause on that bar right there. Let's take this word out of here and just, you know, let whatever you just said, let it stand on its own. Let the beat breathe just a little bit. Let's dance on the track. That was one of the things that we used to discuss in the studio all the time. Me, my D-Dot, my man Kaus. And Kaus came up with the term, yo, Nas can't dance. And I was like, what do you mean by he can't dance? He was like, yo, listen to Nas, man. Nas rattle off a bunch of stuff, but is it within the pocket and the line of the track all the time? No. But he's saying something crazy, but it's like a lot of times it gets distorted to me because he's not in pocket. And so that's where an executive producer should come in for Nas. Like he's definitely on my top 5 list.
No doubt. I think he's on everybody's. Right. What you think about the whole Nas and Extra P and Steve Stout piece?
I mean, y'all hit the nail on the head, man. Those 2 albums, classic. I want to see Steve Stout and Large Pro executive produce a Nas album together. I think because Kill hit the nail on the head. Large Pro does not get the credit from the masses for bringing that Illmatic project together. Because, like you said, he could have easily was like, "Hey, man, I got this spitter. When y'all hear this, it's about to go down."
And the crazy thing, you know what it is, Rec? The crazy thing about that is, you know, I don't think Nas would have had a problem with that.
No, he wouldn't have.
At that time, no. He was the man. So if Extra, yo, I'm gonna do your whole album, Nas would have probably been like, all right, cool.
Exactly.
This is a question that we asked before, is that would Illmatic be the Illmatic that it is if it was just all produced by Large Professor?
No, I think it would be a dope album because it's Large Pro production from 92 to 93, 94-ish. Of course, it's going to be dope. But what we know it to be, no, not at all. But not Trey said it perfect, man. Nas needs help. He needs someone that he respects, that he knows is going to tell him the right thing, and that he can even listen to at this stage of his career. Nas is what, 45? He's not the same 17, 18-year-old kid that is going to take direction the same way. This is Nas. You know, it's different now. It ain't nasty Nas. It's different.
I think that's the other thing too, that I think so many times people get in the studio with these MCs and they're just in awe. They're just like, okay,
yeah. See, you took my thunder, son. I'll wait though. I'll wait. I was gonna say that for another MC that I'm telling you that people are gonna be shocked when I say need an executive producer, but that's exactly what I was gonna say. Producers are in awe when they get in there. You know what I'm saying? And don't want to coach them.
Well, this is the thing. You said it earlier. This is a microwave generation. All of us are of a certain age. I remember when I first started learning how to produce, I had to go to somebody's house who had a studio. Now I got 3 MacBooks. I can put programs on all 3 of these joints and get the banging out beats. But in the beginning, you had to physically be in the same place with an artist to get a project done of any sort. It's not the case anymore. So I could send you 10 tracks, Trey, and you could send me 10 joints back tomorrow. Yep. And there's no conversation about it. I'm gonna be like, yo, this trailer, these joints is dope. Yep. I'm no name Joe. Yep. It don't matter. People are scared to give people honest criticism. Kill gets it all the time. He give people honest criticism. They're like, oh, Kill, you a hater. He can't even have his own opinion. We get it all the time on the timeline. We can't give people honest criticism because either we hating, we dick riding, or whatever the case. And this generation, this technology has killed that part of what the executive producer is there for. People are scared to have a common conversation with the same goal in mind to say, no, I know where you're trying to go, but try this. Something that simple. You don't got to say, hey, man, that sucks. Yo, try this.
But you know what, Rick? Here's the thing. Not all MCs, but here's the funny thing. MCs are sensitive.
Yeah, I know.
Indeed.
I know. A lot of MCs pull that Erykah Badu, I'm an artist and I'm sensitive. And I'm like, the second you put your music on SoundCloud, that sensitivity flies out the window.
You open up to criticism.
Hey, listen, as an MC, I was sensitive for a long time, son. Not so much anymore. I mean, you may say some things and I'll be like, I don't agree, but I understand exactly where you're coming from.
And the reason why I say that is because I could give an MC 50 beats and he picks 2. That basically means, Kel, I didn't like 48. You know what I mean? But God forbid I'd be like, yo, baby, you could change this word. Oh, nah, son, you trying to change the way I move, son. Nah, like I don't change my pen for nobody. And I'm like, come on, like how we making this album together if your pen don't change? Like I'm just saying, change a word, you know. But neither here nor there. Porsche, what do you think about Nas and Illmatic and It Was Written? I'm sure we'll get into more about him needing an executive producer because I foresee him being on everyone's list. But
I exactly what Rec and Trey said and yourself already. There's a reason why those 2 albums stand out in the catalog. There's a reason why those are always the topic of conversations when it comes to Nas. There's a reason why he puts out Nasir and everyone's like, but where's It Was Written Nas? But where was Illmatic Nas? Yeah, I mean, their role in that was also critical. I mean, there's that's undeniable. So, yeah, I mean, it's very clear in that regard. Yeah.
All right, and
I pretty much echo what they say.
All right, and what about you, Vaughn?
I'm the same, man. Yes, definitely. Nas needs that. Fonte, he calls it the Nah Nigga Committee.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Musicians, MCs, husbands, wives, men, women. We need some, nah, bro. What you doing?
The thing is that I feel like sometimes artists, and I'm not an artist, obviously. I'm just a fan, so I don't know what goes on in the background, and I don't know what MCs and producers and executive producers deal with. But what it seems like is that sometimes some artists have this like God complex issue, and they think that, like, how are you trying to tell me how to do what I know I can do? And I think that's sort of where I don't think Nas had that at the beginning, and I don't think any artist had that at the beginning, Big included. When you're starting out, you're like, oh, I'm new to this. I don't know the way. I don't know the ropes. I'm going to link up with someone who has their ear to the street, who knows this and that and the third. So they're a little bit more accepting of the feedback and the guidance and all that. And then eventually they think, okay, I got 2 albums that are classic, 5 mics. I don't need anybody anymore. I can do my own thing. Right. And I think that's what I feel like that's what Nas fell into, because Nasir was a mess. Sure. Like, I'm sorry, I know people like that album, but it's an absolute mess.
I don't think
I'm like this close to saying dude owes me mics for that. Like,
Wow.
I'm not.
I haven't even heard
yet.
it.
That's
I
Jada
don't
Kiss.
think I've heard
That's
the whole
Jada
album.
Kiss. I'm not quite there yet.
Man,
But I'm just saying.
I haven't listened to it after the show we had. That's the only reason I really listened to it.
Tried to listen to Nasir, and I was like, good Lord, like, what is this? Like, I'm going to put in It Was Written. And then I had my fix of Nas, and I was good. But
He said Nasir was a mess.
It was a mess. It was 20, 16 minutes of pure mess.
I'm gonna listen to it in the morning.
Porsche, you need to disconnect from hip hop for about 15 days.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're
Then you come back, and then you will understand.
Yo,
I love Bezo for that.
that is hilarious, yo.
A lot of times with that, I think it really goes back to what Vern, you made such a dope point, just that people in general don't want advice. You know what I mean? Me working with teens all the time, you know, there was a time that if my old heads on the corner said, yo, Kill, come here, I was running. Like, I'm like, y'all gonna talk to me? Like, I get to be in a conversation. Like, now it's like, yo, young boy, come here. And fuck them old heads. You know what I mean? Like, it's a whole nother. So I think what you're saying, like, in any, whether it's marriage, I don't need nobody, whether you know, it's all those things. It's like, I like to call the GPS system. You get in your car and not know where you're going and go in circles, or you can pop it into your GPS and you can get straight there. You know what I mean? So now let's look at 5 MCs who need an executive producer. I'm going to say, because y'all, them mofos last night on my time, I'm going with J. Cole.
Thank you.
Okay.
I agree.
J. Cole needs an executive producer. Why? I feel like J. Cole is an exceptional MC. He is super dope. I love what he talks about. I love what he does for the people. I love that he was in Ferguson right there. I love the fact that if there's an issue with black people, he's right there. But I think he's an I producer. And I don't think an incredible MC with the I producer. This goes back to the GM and coach. This is that scenario. I need somebody, because whenever I love J. Cole, it's when he's on somebody else's track. When he's doing a guest feature, I think I like his verse on Royce's Boblo Boat more than Royce's.
Wow.
You know what I mean? But again, it's that outside production. That's on a Cool and Dre track. Cool and Dre did that Boblo Boat joint. So I just think that J. Cole would do very well if he had some outside production. But it's almost like, how do you tell this dude he's not winning? Because, of course, we all know he went platinum with no
features.
Right. You know, like, somebody told me that last night. Like, how did he not own 2018? He went platinum with no features. And it's just like, I get it. So you really can't tell him he's not winning, but I just would love to have somebody. I believe he has it in him to make a classic 5 mic album.
Indeed.
And I don't believe any of his albums are the most I may have ever given him was 4 mic, which is great, but I just feel like he could do so much more if he was a better producer. Right. Who's one of your people, man?
Jadakiss.
Nice.
Jadakiss is what Biggie would have been had he not had Puff. To me.
That's a bold statement, Rec. That's a bold ass statement, Rec.
I can see it.
But
I can see it. I can see it.
And listen to me.
I can see it.
You
Yo,
guys,
Rec.
Jadakiss put out top 5 dead or alive. You guys.
Listen to me. Listen to me.
Yo, Rec.
Let's hear him out.
Rec. I agree with you.
Let's hear him out.
Listen to me. Listen to me. Now, Portia, remember when the whole Bad Boy this, Bad Boy that, those mixtapes, Clue, all them early joints.
Yeah.
Nobody was listening for Luch. Nobody was listening for Styles. We was listening for the little nigga with the raspy voice that was saying something. We was like, okay, this cat's spitting fire.
Facts.
Straight up. Because the
I was
other
a
two
Styles fan, but facts.
Right. The other two were not where they are today. There was no gangster. There was no gentleman. There was no gorilla. It was 2 young boys and Jason Phillips. Period. Point blank.
Facts.
First album drops, right? Banging album. Okay. We get classic material out of that album. The last, how many albums he got? 3, 4?
I lost count. Good.
Same here. That's why I asked. I could take maybe 1 to 2 songs from each album and make a Jadakiss playlist and be content. Had he had someone to say, like you guys said earlier, hey man, we need this, we need that. Nah, cut this bar, say this. Had he had someone to say that, and like Vern said earlier, not just bars, banging beat, trash beat, whatever, because it's inconsistent, and that's why I say that his projects are extremely inconsistent. There's no cohesiveness, but you know you're gonna get bars.
Facts.
And that's all I know I'm gonna get from Jadakiss.
Facts.
You know what? I'm with you. I do think Jada could do that. I also, you know me, I'm always looking at the timing of things. And Jada to me falls into that Cassidy,
yes,
Fab,
yes,
of the industry really didn't know what to do at that time. So
he was their predecessor though. He was before them.
Right. But even even with the Cassidy, like I remember telling everybody, yo, because Cassidy was on my block in Philly on Providence Street. And I would be like, yo, my man is a monster. Yo, watch. And he came out with Hotel, and niggas was
Is this your king?
Let me come to my hotel.
Right.
Come on, man.
Like, I'm like, nah, trust me, he nice. And then I felt the same way about Fab, but I had Brooklyn niggas telling me, yo, my man Fab Sport is coming. Yo, he's dope. You know what I mean? And then I'm like the little nigga with the nana with Little Mo. So it was just this time when I think, and with Jada, his albums were all over the place. It was like, here's 3 songs for the club, here's 3 songs for the here's 3 songs for the. So I agree with you that he would have needed an executive producer, but I also do think at that time in hip hop, kind of nobody knew what to do. It kind of like there were a lot of great MCs who kind of almost wasted away because they came out at that specific moment in hip hop where nobody knew what to do with. Because I do believe Fab, Kiss, and Cassidy could have all put out crazy projects. If they would have came out in 94, when it was just straight, you know, just bars and beats. But nah, I totally agree with you. Trey, who's one of yours?
Yes.
He over there cracking up.
Surprise. Okay. To me, right now, at this very moment, he's probably the hottest MC walking the earth. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to say Black Thought.
I'm with you 120.
He on my list. He on my list.
He's the greatest. Him, Pharaoh, these guys for me are my benchmarks with regards to presentation, flow, wordplay. I mean, they're just like out of their minds with the shit. However, when it comes to making great songs, way down on the list, and I think that's because, like you alluded to earlier, the people that are producing these guys are in awe by their skill.
Yeah. You know what, Trey? I gotta give you your respect because I want to say I got that from you when you was at the crib because you said Knife be in awe.
He's in awe. Like these cats get in there, they get in a booth and they hear these dudes and they be like, "Woo, this is fire! I can't believe I'm doing the track for Black Thought. Oh my God, this is crazy! Wait till the streets hear this, da 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 da." But are you producing the record? Like, because you could really take this dude and send him out of the stratosphere. You know what I'm saying? Right now, he's a God MC. But imagine if you actually produced a Black Thought record. Jesus Christ, man. There's no telling. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, for me, it's Thought, man. Like, he's number one on the list. Like, he should be way, way bigger than what he is. And that's with The Tonight Show. And that's with The Roots, you know what I'm saying? He should be way out of here, but he's not because to me he does, like, besides the You Got Me's and those, you know what I mean? Those are cool, you know, they cool records, but he don't got that record like you put on in a club and you like, oh my God, this is crazy.
Just getting ready to say that as a DJ, I don't play anything Black Thought in the club. I never have in my life. Never have. Man. I might have played Clones just to get a knock. You know might have.
But nah, he ain't got them records that just send you out of here, and that's my guy.
Hey Trey, so to piggyback on what you said, I listened to a podcast today with Marsha Ambrosius, and she talked about the butterflies, and she sent it to Mike, and she was like, I told him how to breathe, I don't want that chum on. I mean, and he took the coaching. He was like, how did you do this? How did you do that? And that's the last song that Mike did that he killed. That
I agree.
Before he died, if Mike, the king of pop, can take coaching from an unknown, relatively Marsha Ambrosius, why don't these guys?
Let me drop another jewel on y'all. Okay, so I'm sitting in the studio and I'm hearing all of this stuff in New York. This was like February or March of 2018. So it's me and D Dot. We in the studio with Black Thought, and he's playing us the album he did with Knife, and he's playing us the album he did with what's the ball? What'd you say?
Remy.
Yeah, with Remy. Yeah, he's playing us the album he did with Remy. He's playing Sean C. Is we're in the studio with Sean C. You know what I'm saying? And he's got like 5 tracks with him. You know what I'm saying? So as we're listening to the joint, you know, me and Dot, we listen, and I'm telling you, you know, it's verbal, a verbal assault, it's gymnastics, it's all that. But me and Dot is like, if you throw one record on and just let that joint run all the way to the end, it sounds like one long, like it sounds like a million bars. It just sounds like a million bars slapped together. I mean, he's killing it. Don't get it twisted, but it's like, yo, who coached this? Who coached this? You know, like, and even when we're in there with Sean C and me and Dot, we like, yeah, you know, it's cats to get in here that being all, man. I mean, you know, and that's a gift in itself, but nah, man, you got to be able to say, okay, that's hot thought, but how about if we try this? How about if we, like I was telling Dot, I was like, yo, man, if y'all got together, because see, Dot is the type, he don't care who it is. He's coached them all from Jay to Big to, and there's people that got offended. There's people that walked out, but Dot don't care. You know what I'm saying? But he knows how to coach an MC. You know what I mean? He going to tell you what type, and that's why his record, like he has the most played record in hip hop history with the Benjamins. That's not an accident. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So those type of guys, man, if you get them in there with the right people, man, you can send them out of the atmosphere. But I just think people being all about the skill.
Yeah. And just for people who may not know, Trey talking about D. Angeletti, one of Bad Boys Hitmen. Again, to me, one of the greatest beats ever, the Benjamins. What's so crazy about that song is the tempo's so slow, but it's just like you put that on in a club, and to me, that's almost on somebody trying to play top billing back in
it's murder. Yeah, it's Latin Quarter. Yeah.
Y'all didn't hear what I said. It's the most played record in hip hop history. Yeah, let that sink in.
Right. Porsche, who's one of your people?
Well, I had Cole, and I also had Jadakiss, off the strength of Top 5 Dead or Alive owing me Mike Still for that. That's brutal. I can't. I always bring this up. Kill laughs every time. I'm gonna stop one day. I promise.
You thought it was gonna be a dope album, so I mean,
you know what? I love Jadakiss. Yeah. I think Jadakiss is dope. I love his flow. I don't care what he's saying. I just like listening to the guy. And on top of that, he's got some dope lines. Like he's witty. He's easy to listen to. He's dope as hell. So Top 5 Dead or Alive comes out, and I'm like, who let this happen? Like, who is responsible for this? Because, like, I wish I could erase it from his discography. I feel so responsible to, like, take care of Jadakiss for some reason.
You want to nurture Jadakiss.
Right? Anyway, so that's my Jadakiss spiel. And then my Cole thing is that here's my beef with Cole. I think that, obviously, J. Cole is good. He's very good. He's got a ton of potential. We've seen that because he does come out with some very, very dope, solid albums. Forest Hills, I love that album. I don't love the other ones as much. I think that one was very solid. This KOD, another mess on wax. Like, I don't know what was going on. And the problem with Cole is, I'll tell you what the problem with Cole is. It's his fan base. They keep gassing him up. They keep telling him he goes platinum with no features. Well, you know what, Cole? Try getting a feature. Try putting a feature on your album. You might go triple platinum. Like, why are you stopping at one-time platinum?
No, is in rare form, man.
I love her.
It's just off of the strength of this TL discussion today.
Yeah, I love her.
I got reported and whatever. I'm annoyed. You know what? Anyway, so here's my thing about Cole is, because people keep going on, and Cole knows it. Every time he drops an album, it sells. It goes platinum. Why does he have to change anything? Like, I wouldn't. If everything I did, people were praising, and I agree. And I was top tier in everyone's opinion and the best of my era and you know, compared to Tupac and this person, why would I change anything? But that's a disservice to your favorite artist because he's not putting out quality music. He's just not. And I feel bad for him for that, you know, like, I don't know. I wish I have a J. Cole challenge. I want J. Cole to get a feature on his album. Let's see what that does. You know what, J. Cole, if you watch this, put a feature on your album. Let's see what that does, and then thank me later.
You know, Vern, real quick, what did you say Fonte called it?
The Nah Nigga Committee. Nah.
The funniest thing about that is when I write scripts and I have a group, I have 5 people who I call my goon squad. For my people who know Temple, John Chaney got fired because he basically said we need to send in the goons to knock them out. You know what I mean? So I call my goon squad and I tell them, I send them a script and I say, tear it apart. I don't want to hear, I love it. I want you to tear it apart. You know, the only thing I ask is tell me what you didn't like. If you didn't like the script, was the characters not believable? Was this not believable? Like, help me get better. Just don't say I don't like it. You know, take the time to really explain it. So that non-nigga committee, I feel you. That's the goon squad because I'm like, I'm spending my money to submit these to festivals. Like, don't have me wasting my money.
Right.
Trying to gas me like, oh, this is the best script ever. Like, no, like tell me, like tear it apart. You know, before I put my money behind this and really start trying to do something with it. And like you said, if Mike could take that from a relatively unknown, you know, why can't, you know, JoJo box down the street? You know what I mean? I'm with Trey on Black Thought. One of the things, well, one thing with Kiss, why was a dope song? That was a dope concept.
It was.
Yes.
The beat, Havoc with the beat. It was when you think about it, it really wasn't the regular Havoc beat. Like when you listen to Why, you don't think Murder Music Havoc. You know, we just needed Jada to do that 11 more times on the album. You know, and this is why, like you said, the executive producer comes in. Let's make a song. Like, what are you rapping about?
A song.
You know?
A song.
And that's very different than just spitting. Like I said, with Streams of Consciousness 1 and 2 with Thought, like I just felt like he just came straight from Hot 97 and kept going. Like it was just like a road runner. Like that nigga in the studio just jumped in the booth and just kept on going from Hot 97. And it's funny because y'all remember when I heard that Conception joint, I said, yo, I may be wrong. I love Conception. I think that is an incredible song. But then the rest of that Salaam Remy album just runs on again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like when you hear Conception, it sounds totally different than
sure does.
7 songs.
It sounds detached. It sounds detached.
Very detached.
It sounds detached. It sounds like that was the song. This was a great single. I love it. I know the words. I like it. And that's what made me realize that it's not just Thought in his storytelling. It's when he makes a good song. You know what I mean? And that's the thing. And that here's the thing that I said about Streams of Consciousness. I think that's the name of it. Everybody, when it came out, everybody heralded this album. Everybody did. I was like the bad guy for saying Thought don't tell stories. But here's the wild part. When we did the show on Top 5 albums, it didn't come up on nobody's list. So everybody loved this album, but when it came time to Top 5 albums of the year, Thought's name was not mentioned, and he dropped 2 projects. The only list he came up on was Disappointment. The most disappointing albums, the most slept on albums, and the dopest albums. He didn't come up on dopest or slept on. He only came up on Disappointment.
And to me, he's too great of an MC for that, man. It's crazy, man.
Exactly. Like I said earlier, Rich, his longtime manager and exec producer, and I can't give Rich all the credit, God bless the dead, because I haven't liked the Roots album in damn near 15 years either. So I can't even say like Rich leaving is what contributed to this. But I will say that I think at the end of the day, it's what Trey said, and being in awe, it's in wanting to be coached. I just want to hear a Black Thought song. You know what I mean? Like I said, the only time he tells a story when it's about a girl. You know, he'll give you 3 verses about a shorty. He'll give you "You Got Me," "The Notic," "Silent Treatment." He does that, but when it's like, yo, and I always used to say this: if you put Outkast in the Roots in the studio and say, hey, make a song about dealing with your baby's mama, Outkast is gonna give you Miss Jackson, which is a dope song. It's a hit song. You know what I mean? the Roots, you probably won't even know what they talking about. Like you be like so confused, so deep, unless you got the footnotes before.
Yeah, it's gonna be real cerebral.
Right. You know, and that's the difference. And I mean, Quest even said that a while ago that the Roots do struggle with coming up with choruses. Like they struggle with making songs.
Yeah. Don't say nothing.
Yeah, there's a perfect example.
Perfect example.
Yeah. The other thing about that too is because Quest, his sole job is to produce the music. I listened to him today, and Thought is responsible for all the lyrics and all that stuff, and he needs some help.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm with you on Thought. Right. Who's another person you got?
All right. So
I'm sorry. My bad,
Go ahead, Vern.
Lupe Fiasco.
Oh, yeah. Nice one. Nice one.
Food and Liquor. Just Might Be Okay is one of my favorite hip hop songs ever. His wordplay, triple entendres and stuff.
Yes.
I mean, my goodness. But it didn't it didn't translate further. And I think he owns his own label and all this kind of stuff. And then Lupe think he's the smartest man in the world. And it's hard to teach a man a lesson that he thinks he already knows. And it shows in his later projects. So Lupe Fiasco, you make my list.
Greg, what you got, man?
All right, man. So this guy's been off the radar. I say, what's this, 2019? I'm gonna say about 12, maybe 13 years. They're getting ready to ramp themselves back up. So we might possibly get an album from this dude. I'm going with the mighty Dungeon Dragon, Busta Rhymes. He needs an executive producer on this next album. Reason being, he's detached. You cannot live your life through OT Genesis and think you about to get in the booth and pick up where you left off. It's not gonna happen. I pray that this Flip Mode album is what we know it can be. But I don't have faith in it.
I'm with you, Rec.
I just feel like I'm gonna be let down, man. Like I told you about this last week when we talked about certain albums that we did the show on. I'm going to buy it. I'm going to be in here. I'm gonna drop it in my Serato. I'm gonna play around with it, but I don't think I'm gonna be fully fulfilled. But if he comes back out with another album, man, Busta Rhymes needs an executive producer not named Q-Tip.
Yes, sir.
And so you don't believe the hype of what Ninth spewed out there via social media?
No. Wait till you see who my next pick is.
Man, tighten up your Jamla squad before you.
So Trey, real quick, I'm not gonna say I'm a Jamla head, but I like Jamla.
I would say you rep them hard.
I do. I do.
What I am the Griselda.
Yes.
Maybe not that.
No.
Rec needs an intervention.
No. Me and Kill talked about this earlier today. Yeah. I'm not buying it. I'm buying it, Trey. That's all I'm gonna say. Wait till you get my next person. I'm not buying it.
And you know what the other thing is too, man, is that I feel like that's what happens. People put so much effort into hyping up the album, then the album drops.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's almost like that's what you're supposed to say. Just Blaze is supposed to, say, oh my God, this is gonna change the scope of music, get everybody hyped for it and everything. So I don't know.
When you get a minute, Trey, check the podcast we did on disappointing albums.
Okay. I surely will.
If you're on a flight or you riding, you chilling, check that podcast.
Okay, I surely will. That matter of fact, I'll check that after I get off of this conversation right now. You know what I mean?
Who you got? Who's one of your next people?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh man, it's like I said, my concentration is like dope spitters. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times dope spitters don't want to be coached. Right. So I mean, you can just dig in a hat, man. I can rattle them off all at one time. But we're talking about the Talib Kweli's of the world. We're talking about the even the most deafs of the world. You know what I'm saying? Even though he's been off of the the radar, and doing his thing. Because these guys to me are You know, they're all peas in a pie. Like they all hang around each other. They all spit around each other. I know they're all good friends. But again, when you talk about superior, but they're all like superior MCs. Talib in particular has no. He needs like I'm gonna tell you. He needs like, you know, I'm gonna put it in layman's terms. He needs like crackers. He needs like crackers on a trail. You know what I'm saying? To kind of like
to find his way back.
Yeah, to either find his way back or to find his way to this destination. You see what I'm saying? Either way, either you want to find your way back or find your way to, because the continuity. He says some stuff, but the continuity in his bars are just not there. Like they're like jumping all over the place. They're, you know what I'm saying? The flow is a bit rigid, you know what I'm saying? It's like and off beat. There's another You Can't Dance. Like, you know what I mean? Like the best record he made was the Naughty. You know what I'm saying? Even with that record, the high tech joint. Even with that record, he still wasn't, you know, rocking, because that beat was still kind of groovy, but I still felt him kind of swerving all over the place with it. But it worked because that beat was so groovy and it was knocking. Like, so, I like, just imagine if Big would have got on that particular record, he would have murdered that record.
And that's the crazy thing. I always think he would have gravitated towards doing exactly what it is he wanted to do, because, like Pusha said, he would have been financially stable, so he wouldn't have had to do what anyone would have told him. He could have did whatever he wanted.
Right. So Talib definitely, man, he needs an executive producer to say, oh. Yeah. Let's reel that back in, buddy. Yeah. Let's reel that back in. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like that record he did with Kanye. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure Kanye doesn't bite his tongue. Like, there's a lot of things I could say negative about Kanye, but one thing I do know about Kanye, he know how to produce records. Which at least, yeah, exactly. So, I mean, at least he did know how to produce records at one time. You know what I'm saying? But he needs somebody to be like, hey, come on now. Come on back. And so, yeah, he's on my list.
Yeah, it's funny with Kanye. It's almost like I feel like he like Big Luther, Little Luther. Like, we
right. I was just about to say, I feel like Kanye needs someone to guide him.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Different
now, yeah.
And you got Little Luther the same way. I said I like J. Cole pre-dreadlocks. You know, he got locks and he just thought he was Bob Marley, and it was just like he's doing this for the people and folding clothes and putting Porsche, you got who's the last two people you got, Porsche?
I got Redman and AZ. I know, I love them both. They're definitely on my favorite MCs list, but I just feel like Redman just put out a track recently called like 90s, something about 90s. I can't remember the name of it exactly. Something to do with bringing the 90s back or something. Yeah. Anyways, it's just it's a reach in some way. I don't know how to describe it. I like Red. I think he's one of the most entertaining, humorous, fun to listen to MCs of all time.
No doubt.
I think he's so unique for hip hop in that way, because all his albums are enjoyable. But honestly, I find that from like Malpractice onwards, he's just, and even Doc's the Name, like it's something's wrong there, and it just keeps declining. I don't really understand why.
You went rare. Where you went rare?
Yeah, I love it though.
I love her, yo. I love her.
I'm just saying, like, okay, we've got Muddy Waters, we've got There Is a Dark Side, we've got What the Album. These albums are like top notch out. They're great. They're like 4.5 mic albums, like amazing. Yeah. And then you've got like Doc's the Name, Malpractice, and all these other ones, and you're like, yo, what is Redman doing right now? Like, who is he needs guidance somewhere. The production's not great. His lyrics are like, it's not cohesive. I don't know. It just seems like
Eric Sermon. Eric Sermon.
Yeah. Eric Sermon is fantastic. Like, I love Eric Sermon. But he did do executive producing on one of them, I think, in between there. But even though, like, maybe just a fresh ear or something. I'm not sure.
I think sometimes you got to get that fresh air because
yeah,
Thurman, you know, I love him for what he's done, but I can't tell you a track he's probably done in the last 10 years
that's fair. That's fair.
Really done something. It's, even with Jay's American Gangster, what got me hype about it was seeing Sean C and LV on it.
Yes,
because it's like, okay, you're gonna have hungry producers who know that this is their shot.
That's Jay's most underrated album to me, brother.
Right.
We talk about it all the time.
I mean, we talk about it because I'm like, it's in my top 3, but whenever I want to hear some Jay-Z, I go to that. You know what I mean? I always pull American Gangster. I don't pull Reasonable Doubt. I don't pull Blueprint.
Nope.
American Gangster. And I think that so much of that was you had 2 hungry producers who knew. There was the same thing with the Blueprint. Ain't nobody know who Just Blaze and Kanye West was. I remember I used to call him Kanye. You know, I'm like, who these two? But they were hungry producers. Versus you getting in the studio with a Kanye now, it's like, oh, you know, they got fashion show in Paris. They do. Oh, fuck, forget the studio. Let's go to the fashion. Like, don't see how we like, all right, y'all could go, but we staying. Like, we finishing these tracks, and you may need that hungry producer who's like, yo, I got something for Redman. Or like you said, here's another bad part with Redman. I mean, I love him to death, but he's a weed rapper. You know what I mean? So it's like, it's knowing your audience. You know, at 45, are you still smoking weed like you was at? Red came out when I was 17. I'm 45 this year. You know? Like, I'm not smoking weed like I used to smoke weed back at Morgan. So you gotta.
You're not growing with your audience, basically.
Exactly. You know, and that's the thing. And that was, Trey, great point. Thank you for bringing that back for me. It was even what made me really stop and really think about Thought was because, like I always say, Fonte and Royce put out their albums at the same time. And it showed me where they grew. It showed how I was listening to Cocaine today and just the stories Royce is telling, the Fonte burying his dad, getting remarried, talking about health, you know, and it's kind of like, hey, and Thought is just still spitting. Like you're not, I need more. And like I said, if Thought just wants to spit, that's fine. But me as a 45-year-old, I need more out of my hip hop now.
Me too. Yeah. Hey, Kill, on the Fonte thing, you know, I just thought about this. I think maybe one of the things that makes him so dope as an MC is that he's a singer and a musician. I mean, because an MC, I gotta fill this line with as many words as possible. But Fonte, let it breathe. You know, those pregnant pauses and those different things make you like, oh, whoa, yeah. So I just thought about that when you were talking about it.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that's it too. Vern, who your last two?
Man, I love this group. That's like top 3, and we talked about this on Most Disappointing. De La Soul needs an executive producer, man.
Damn right.
Dude, man, bro. So, you know, the anonymous me, you know, we crowdfunding and everybody kicking in loot. Yeah, De La. We're gonna take 800 hours of live musicians and we're gonna pick the dopest stuff out of that to make this album. Man, I was driving to an event and I'm listening to this man like
yo, I knew he was about to come.
Man, what this what y'all came up with? Bruh, hey, I said this. There is a problem when 2 Chainz has the hottest verse on a De La Soul album, bro.
That is a problem.
Yes, it is.
That is a problem.
And I like 2 Chainz for what he is and what he does, but on a De La album, he should not.
With Pasta Noose, you don't need the pass.
Oh man, it hurt my heart, man. So I'm praying that my boys come back and redeem themselves and give us some De La. I mean, because like Grind Date was my last. Grind Date is one of my favorite hip hop albums.
Grind Date, AOI Bionics, both of them. Yeah.
I mean, and then we stop from that and go to that. Oh my God! Yeah.
Okay, now I follow you, man, because that hurt when you said that, and I'm like, but all things considered, I can't deny it, bro.
I mean, name a song off that album.
I can't. That's my problem. I can't.
Yes. And I think that's the whole point too. Like you said, when we did this show about the GoFundMe stuff and artists using that, it just felt like a money grab. It just felt like, you know, like how we always say, like, okay, my daughter's going to college. We need some money. Like, Because there's no way y'all made that album with damn near $1 million.
No, man. And Kill, you made the point. Dave and Pops come on and say, producers, send me your hottest heat. Man, they wouldn't have enough computers to take in all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
And that's always been my thing. To me, there's no reason for any MC to have whack beats because, like you said, you know, you could easily get on Twitter and say, I'm looking for beats. Westside Gunn did it. Westside Gunn did it. Yeah. And I tried to send him beats. All them things came back like email full. Like, you know, like you had people who did it. And I want to say this dude I follow on Twitter, we follow each other, and on Instagram, J.R. Swift ended up making Hitler Wear Hermes 6 by doing that. You know what I mean? So you can reach out and say, yo, because as producers, we all have folders. We have A, B, C, and D folders. And it's like the A folders is like, if I ever get to meet Nas and Jay and all of this, and then you go, if you open up the floodgates like that and you tell me you're looking for beats, and like I said, you could literally be like, yo, I don't have no money. You'll get your production credit. You can put it in your Twitter bio. People still going to send the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So you can literally make an album today for damn near nothing. If you all you got to do is pay for the mixing and the mastering. You know what I mean? But damn near make an album for free nowadays. And so I'm with you on that, Vern. Was there anybody else besides Daylight?
To a lesser degree, Munch, because he's
Hey, I said that.
Yeah. I mean, dude, he's stupid, man. I mean, lyrically, ain't nobody messing with Munch.
I agree.
But it's more. It's like, bruh, that dude can dunk out the gym. I went to school with a dude named Skip. Can dunk all over your head. But his overall game, it takes more than just dunking to be a great basketball player. And Munch lyrics and all that stuff is just stellar. But I can't album. I just can't.
Yeah. Listen, with a person of Munch's skill, when your hottest record is Simon Says, that's a problem.
Yep.
With his skill, at his skill level, his skill level is beyond. Like again, he's like out of the galaxy. When your hottest record by the masses is Simon Says, that's a problem to me. I love that record. Don't get it twisted. It's a good mood record for when I'm in a club and all that. But when that's, you know what I'm saying? But when that's your hottest joint, like according to across the board, according to the masses, that's a problem to me.
Yeah, and I think it's a thing too about, you know, and I always tell people when people ask me things like, Kill, can you help me do this and do that? My first question always, what's your goal? You know what I mean? What's your goal? Is your goal of starting a YouTube channel to quit your job? Is it just for you to get your thoughts out? Because you're going to market it different ways. If you're going to quit your job, then we got to move at it this way. You know, if you're just trying to get your thoughts out there, is that way. And it's funny that y'all bring it up because I got the old source with Thought.
Oh, wow. See?
March on the cover, you know.
Monsters, lyrical monsters right there.
Yeah.
The Over and Underground, you know, and basically this is from
2000.
This is 99, November 99, and they're just basically talking with them. You can see Thought still got the dreads. But, you know, like they were asking them, you know, well, basically in a nutshell, why don't you make sellout music? And it was like, because we stay true to the underground and everything like that. Now, the funny thing is you got Thought acting. Most was always
right.
All these underground MCs is actors now, for the exception. Of course. You know what I mean?
Of course.
Acting, Most is acting, Thought is acting, you know. But then one thing I will say, my last two, I'm like Trey, spitters, Skyzoo and Elzai. Those are just
I had Skyzoo on my list.
Elzai, yeah.
Great. It's like I was saying with Elzai redoing Elmatic. Like, dog, do your own classic album before you putting all this effort into redoing this. Dog, put that effort into making another person who did it. It's like called Lead Pencils. It was a cool album, but again, I'm just looking at these people like you all have the potential to be able to make a 5 mic classic album that I believe we're talking about 10 years from now. But you're not. And a lot of people will tell me, like, I had people the other day on my timeline telling me Skyzoo has 2 classics. And I'm like, we just got 2 different definitions of classic then. You know what I mean? Because is he spitting? Great. But is he making good songs? He has this one song in Celebration of Us called, I think, Love Is. Incredible. Incredible concept. Incredible beat. But you've got to mimic that 11 more times. You know what I mean? And I think that that's the problem, that it's not, and I don't ever want people to take it as this disrespect because
it's not.
Spit. You can spit all day long. Like we're saying you need this because we believe you got it in you. Like, it's like the kid, kid, you can do it. I can see you getting all A's. I can see you getting a scholarship if you focus. You know, I'm not talking to the dumb kid, not the dumb kids. I'm not talking to the kids that may not be on point. I'm talking to the kids who we know you got the potential to get out this hood. You got the potential. And you just need that push to do it. You just need that support. One of my biggest things was Common's album, Nobody Smiling. When Common said, you know what? We're doing an album about Chicago and the gang violence and all of that. And I said, you know what? The only way Common is going to pull this album off right, him and No ID are going to have to get a spot in Chicago for 6 to 9 months. You can't make this album in LA. While you're reading scripts and while No ID's in New York, you know, trying to be the president of Def Jam. Y'all, 6 months. I want you to live in Chicago. I want you to go to these funerals of these people dying. I want you to go to these town hall meetings. I want you to visit and then go into the studio and give me an album. And what I mean by the executive producer has to say, nah, Common, if we gonna do this, I'm on my 5 heartbeat. If we gonna do it, let's do it right. If we gonna do it, do it right or don't do it. I don't messed up the quote, but y'all get what I'm saying.
Oh, absolutely.
Let's do it right. And there's no way me and Trey could be like, yo, let's go to Philly and talk about Philly, but we gonna do this album in Maryland.
Right.
Like, I ain't lived in Philly since 1992.
Exactly. 88 here.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back to Philly and I'm gonna have to be in Southwest. I'm gonna have to talk to dudes to really, and one of the reasons I thought Common's B was such a great album is because they said, one, you had a hungry Kanye. You still had a Kanye who was proving himself. You also had a Common who was coming on Circus. So he had to reprove himself too. So you have 2 hungry people and they were together. I remember reading in a scratch where they said we went to go see Ray and we went right home to the studio and started creating because we were so inspired by Ray. And that night they made Go. You know, that's what you need.
Great record.
Right.
Great record.
Make these songs. You got to be inspired. It's hard for me to be inspired in DC and you in New York. And I just can't. We got to be together to make this music. And I think one of the things I always said is that the very thing that we used to love doing back in '89, if you said, yo, we got studio time, you telling your girl I ain't going. I'm not doing that. I'm there. Why? Because that was our cash cow. That was our way out. Whereas now those same people are like, oh, I got to go to the studio. I don't feel like going to
right.
Like I'm working on this script. I'm doing this new HBO series. And about I owe you an album. Fine, No ID. Just send me 10 beats. I'll just rhyme to it. And this is what we're getting. You know, this is what we're getting.
Kill, you on Elzai. I heard him one time talking about one of the albums he's doing. It's like, man, I got some shadow boxes. I got this, this it's so technical. Nigga, that ain't what makes a song, bruh. You know, you got all these tricks and pyrotechnics. Man, that don't make it a great song.
He said pyrotechnics. He got fireworks. Fireworks come out.
Word. Where's the feel? Where's the love? Where's the passion? Where's the, you know what I mean? Where's the blood, the sweat, the tears, man? That like, you know, as a creative, you know what I'm saying? That's what I like to exude. And so therefore, when I'm listening to other people's music, that's what I like to receive as well. Like, you know, we all on this panel are lovers of the culture, you know what I'm saying? So when we listening to certain things, you can automatically tell where a person is when they've created this record, or when they give you the final product. They're like, oh, well, he just slapped that together, or oh, they weren't even in the same spot, or you know what I'm saying, he wasn't coached. You know what I mean? So I feel you on that Elzai thing. You said the pyro.
Trey just described Nasir.
Right.
Just described Nasir. I'm listening to this and I'm like, hey, yeah, that checks. Yeah, Nasir. Okay.
and Kill, we gotta say it again. If I didn't have it, think you had it in you, I wouldn't be disappointed. I wouldn't care. You just be whack. But these people are excellent at what they do. But we want more from them because it's in you. We've seen it.
Yep.
Yeah, it's funny when people send me their music. I'm like, dog, I'm gonna tear this shit. I'm gonna tear this stuff apart. Like, if you don't, I'm not the yes man and the no man and all that stuff. And
that's why I wanted you to listen to my joint. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And what we're about to talk about right now is your new joint, Expect the Unexpected. Bro, how did this come together? we're talking about executive producers. You worked with one producer the whole time. How did you put this project together?
And everything that we've talked about and touched on is exactly what it was with regards to guiding the project. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't a situation where I went in there and I heard this incredible producer, by the way, by the name, by his name, by the way, is O'Jiz, cat out of Baltimore, young cat. He's incredible. But what the situation was he wasn't in awe of the fact that I did records with Big. He wasn't in awe of the fact that, you know what I'm saying, I had mild success with the theme in the 90s and all that, and I had been around all these other people. He was more or less concerned with how it was going to, the end product. And so I allowed, pushing the ego back, I allowed him to coach me. You know what I'm saying? Because if I didn't, the product wouldn't have came out like it was. So basically, Expect the Unexpected was me being free, me taking the gloves off, me giving you music that you probably aren't accustomed to coming from Tracy Lee. Now, my catalog is not that big, but there's certain records that you know me for. Well, these are the records that I did on this particular project is something that I always wanted to do from the beginning. It's just that because I was in certain systems, whether it be Boston Universal or even, you know, me doing certain things in my life, you know what I'm saying, as far as going to law school. And, you know, even with the last album with ESQ, there were certain things that I had to get off my chest, you know what I'm saying? This project right here was like, I'm totally free. I'm totally, you know what I'm saying, uninhibited. Like, we just gonna make music. We're gonna make beautiful music, but it's still gonna be cohesive because of the fact we got one producer and we're going through the process together. You know what I'm saying? So Expect the Unexpected is just that. Whatever you expect from Trey Lee, it ain't that. You know what I'm saying? But the one thing you can expect are bars. So it's bars all through the joint. You know what I mean?
And I mean, you know, I reviewed it on the site, gave it 4 mics, strong album, love it. My favorite one is Come Through with Eric Roberson, man. Like,
whoa, okay.
See, expect the unexpected. You know what I'm saying?
You know, and even the joint Spoken For, you know, we're just talking about your wife with that adult contemporary hip hop where we talking about. Like, you got rappers who want to make a Spoken For. You know.
Well, and you know what's ironic about that record? Actually, both of them records is it shows vulnerability. It shows me at the stage I am in my life, you know, being married and having a family and all that. But the ironic and surprising thing about it is that I get more calls from dudes about both of those records than I do than I do for, let's say, a record called Smoke, right, which is one of the favorites on the album. But I get more calls from women about that record, and that record is hard. You know what I'm saying? So it's interesting, the dynamics, like who likes what. Like, more men like I guess what you would consider to be the more melodic R&B record, but then the hard beats and the aggressiveness of Smoke. More women like that record. I mean, at least I've been getting more reaction. Not to say that they don't like either.
You got Cy Smith on here? Oh man. Bro.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
Expect the unexpected. That's what I'm saying. Cy Smith, both of them went to Howard with me. They both great friends of mine, you know what I'm saying? And with Cy, me and Eric had did records before. Matter of fact, here's another nugget. Me and Eric used to be in a singing group together back at Howard. that was about to get signed. You know what I'm saying? Like, we were in a singer group. It was me, him, my man E. Willis, my man Kevin, my man Dwayne. We were called Mad Props. And so actually Chris, God rest his soul, Chris Lighty came down and we had the pen on the paper. You know what I'm saying? It was that close to being signed. And then I forget what happened with the deal or what have you. But yeah, that's something that nobody knows. You know what I'm saying? So me and Eben Tyson stand aside. We had always, you know, we were friends back at school, but we had always talked about doing records together. And finally the opportunity came to be, and she laced the joint. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, size nice, bro. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still stuck on You Sing, B.
Yo, no worries, man. That was my singer debut. No Worries is number 10 on the last track on the album. And so that essentially I played 2 roles. I played the Kirk Franklin role. I didn't rhyme on this record. I played the Kirk Franklin role where I was just basically emceeing the record, but all the singing parts, that's me, bro.
Yo, here's the wild part. Find out y'all was gonna be battling Shy on campus outside Black.
Real talk. Fact.
That's what's up. Yo, bro, do me this justice, man. Give me a nugget about Big, man. Just anything. Just anything.
Let's see, a nugget that you've already heard or something. I'm trying to think of what.
Just a dope memory with Big.
Well, I told you that conversation we had in the booth. You know what I'm saying? About him. Basically, once I fulfilled my agreement, I'm out. Like him and Un was really plotting on a lot of other things. We talking about movies. We talking about the commission. We talking about all kind of stuff they had in the works. But again. He realized, because people talk about, at least this is what I've heard, and somebody can, kind of correct me if I'm wrong, but people always talk about his deal, and I think that was one of the driving forces. Basically he signed his publishing away, you know what I'm saying, for like $250,000, and that was it. You know what I'm saying? All that money that was coming in was basically going to Puff. You know what I'm saying? So he understood and realized, that's not true.
No, it is. I'm annoyed. Sorry.
Oh, yeah.
Puff kills me. This is why Puff kills
that's
me.
the Porsche face of F Puff again.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm sorry. This is what people don't know about Puff, or don't realize, or don't want to ignore, or give him a pass for, and it just kills me.
I know. I know. Trust me. I know more than you think, man. But
I don't doubt that. I don't doubt that.
But that was one of his driving forces. So he was like, look, I'm gonna do what I gotta do. I'm gonna give you greatness. But once I'm free, I'm free. And honestly, if you're asking me, that was once certain people realized that, then I think that was the beginning of the end. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, I feel you.
That's kind of like Pac with the deal he had with Suge,
absolutely.
Right? So
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion. That's not, for anybody that's listening. I'm not expressing the views of anybody else on this panel, but that's just what I feel. You know what I'm saying?
After you said that, it just even, equates even to make it even more perfect sense. Let them know where can they get the album? Where can they follow you? Where you at? Just everything, man.
Oh, all day, as you can see, Expect the Unexpected available everywhere on all digital and streaming platforms. We also had the apparel on TracyLeeMusic.com. That's TracyLee music.com. We got hoodies, we got t-shirts, we got the long sleeve shirts, we got the long sleeve shirts with off the shoulder for the women. You know what I'm saying? You can catch me on IG at TracyLeeESQ. That's TracyLeeESQ. You can check me on Twitter at TrayLee, TrayLee. And the website, TracyLeeMusic.com, TracyLee music.com.
All right, tell me this real quick. I don't want to hold you, but one of the questions I didn't ask, but I wanted to get to. Many Faces.
Yes.
Incredible album. Was there an executive producer? Did you put that together? What part did you play and put that album together?
Okay, Many Faces was a this is the part that people don't see. Many Faces was an all-out battle royal. Like, so you got I'm not a young MC, you know what I'm saying? I'm not young. I'm not young relative to, the age of MCs that get into the game for the first time. I'm like 26 years old. Most MCs, when they first get into the game, they like 16, 17, 18, you know what I'm saying? So there's a bit of stubbornness in me, you know what I'm saying? So it's like a constant battle between myself and D-Dot. D-Dot is like he's my mentor. He's like my big brother and my mentor. He and Mark Pitts, executive, were the people that were tagged as the executive producers, but I'm going to give more credit to D-Dot than I will to Mark. Now, mind you, D-Dot at that particular time had more experience than both of us. You know what I'm saying? D-Dot had been part of a group called Two Kings in the Cypher, so he was on the artist side. But then, after that, he transitioned into a producer. He was a producer already, but then, his story with the Hitman, you know what I'm saying? And him making incredible records with him. So he had more experience in the game than myself or Mark. But because we were like close in age, I think there was a constant tug of war. Like I said, nobody in my crew liked the theme. It's Party Time. None of them. But I knew it was like maybe one or two people that we both knew, and of course D-Dot, that when we made that record, I knew it was out of here. You know what I'm saying? But it took D-Dot's vision, you know what I'm saying, to be able to implement that and execute that in a way, because when we first made the record, I just wanted to use the pieces of a dream, scratch and put a beat under it and all that. But nah, he produced that record. He put the Buffalo Girls joint on there. The Ralph McLaren joint. He put he came up with the melody for the hook. And everywhere that my crew go to Schoolhouse Rock. You know what I'm saying? When we did it, it was like, oh, that's corny, da 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 da. But after it was done, it was like, oh, this is gonna work. You know what I'm saying? So because we were close in age, it was a constant battle back and forth between myself and him and Mark and all that. But at the end of the day, I think, and also there's a thing about that album is that a lot of those records were already made, but because of the success of the theme, it forced Universal to put out a project, in my opinion, prematurely. You know what I'm saying? I had signed my deal in April of '96. By October of '96, the theme was on the airwaves. And by March of '97, we had an album out. You know what I'm saying? On the same day the Big drop, which was another mistake. But because they wanted to speed up the process and Universal was young in the game with regards to hip hop, they felt like that the energy of the thing was going to drive the album itself. But in my opinion, nobody knew who I am. And still to this day, people know the record, they know the thing, but they don't know who Tracy Lee is. You know what I'm saying? So I think the album was rushed, but it was a blessing that once we took those records that we already made and we added some new records, that we kind of looked at the project and the concept of Many Faces was mine. It was like, okay, it's going in different directions. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about different stuff. I mean, naturally, there's many faces to this album. And so that's where the concept and everything came from.
That's dope. That's dope. And it's funny you said the other albums, because anybody who knows me knows I've been a fan of Trey way before the thing. You know, my OG Steven used to run with him at Howard, so I still got the catch on my hard drive. And when I heard it on the ledge, it was like, yo, and I've been listening to this joint, for years. And that's the other thing about dope hip hop. It doesn't get dated. You know what I mean? If On the Ledge dropped in '97, I may have heard that shit in '93. You know what I mean? And it was still just as dope, 4 years later, but that's crazy. And the one thing I always give props to this man for, and we always talk about giving respect to people while they're still here. I tell him all the time, he's the one person who, in my eyes, outside of Jay-Z, has gone to the track and held his own. Any other person gets blown out. Big rhymes, it's a rap. You know what I mean? But you held your own on that. Keep your hands high. Not to mention Jay ended up biting that beat too. For what more can I say? But that's a whole nother.
Can I say something about that though? I mean, if you listen to the first track on a new album, Expect the Unexpected, the first couple of bars, I say glory. My stories for the visceral. For those who believe in miracles, I thank the Lord for the visional, and Nori for all the bulletin board material. Now, the reason why I mentioned Nori and giving me bulletin board material, because if you talk about keep your hands high and you go back to Drink Champs, he tells his people that Big bodied me, not once, but twice, 2 different episodes. You know what I'm saying? So I felt like in that particular record, Smoke, which is the first record on Expect the Unexpected, that I didn't want to, bar him to death, because I don't get no points for barring Nori to death. I just don't feel like, like he's that caliber of an MC for me to, go trade bars with, But I did want him to know that I heard you.
Right.
I heard you. I saw it and I heard you. And you brought me up not once but twice for God knows what reason. You know what I'm saying? But I just had to let you know that I heard you, son.
Right. But that's North for me. Like, dog, you went back and forth with Big. It was a beautiful EPMD type moment for me. You know what I mean? And there's not too many folk, like I said, outside Jay-Z, who could say, I don't think it's too many people outside you and Jay who can really say they had a back and forth with Big, period. Not
even Meth.
I mean, well, yeah, I guess with Meth. I'm always just thinking Jay, whether it be the Brooklyn joint or whether it be I Love the Dough or whatever like that. But yeah, so definitely with that. Right. Give them all your info, good brother.
Twitter is at DJRec1 and the IG is DJRec1NE.
All right, no doubt. Porsche, give them everything, sis.
Twitter at Cherchez La Porsche.
All right. Vern, give him everything good, brother. The closer. If you're looking for a house in Atlanta and you're not getting with my man Vern, you're losing. Vern.
Yeah. I appreciate that.
Facts.
Twitter. The funny thing is, I was just talking to T, and she was like, I was showing you were on IG with the key, and I was like, yo, I swear this dude sells like 5 houses while he's doing the podcast. Like sold, like, but yeah, give him all.
On Twitter is V Chandler 10 and on Instagram at V the Lone Closer.
All right, no doubt. You already know this with me, Kill 889 IG. Twitter will make beats for food. Yo, I appreciate y'all as always. I will catch y'all next week, y'all.
Yeah.
See ya.
Yes.
That's cool.